everybody. It's Georgia Rose, and I am in the studio at Paradise Studios in Massapequa in Strong Island Television, and we are in the Zencuda Soul Space. Thank you all for joining me. I am having a good day today. I feel good, energetic. Might have something to do with the planets. We'll get to them in a minute. But thank you all for joining me. I hope that you all will share the show. You guys know that drill on Mondays at 7 o'clock. If you're watching, then you got to share. So today I combed my hair. I know I watched the tape back from last week's show, and it looked like I didn't even comb my hair. So I said, "Oh, this some Monday, I brought a hairbrush and I combed my hair." Because you know what happens is every time I walk into the studio, and Bobby can vouch for this, I look beautiful when I leave my house. My hair's really great, and then I walk into the studio and I go from the car to the studio, and there's like a wind tunnel, and then all of a sudden I look like I don't know, really blown. So really hair blown. So it didn't come out very good. So anyway, we were just having a little chat as we always do before we go on air. And Bobby and I were talking about gratitude, which is the subject of today's show, and how important gratitude is. And it's actually a segue for me. I've been talking about gratitude all day today because I actually did a class in my Earthbound life about gratitude and mindfulness this morning, and we did a beautiful meditation. So that was a lot of fun. And I figured it was so good today, and it was so well received, and it made me feel so good. I said, you know what? I'm going to do that on the Soul Space tonight. So sometimes doing the most spontaneous things make us feel really good. Every once in a while, you got to step out of your comfort zone and really do those spontaneous kind of things. So what's been going on with you guys? I'd love it if you'd call into the show or comment tonight. Love to hear what's going on with you along the lines of positivity and what you have been doing in your life to be grateful. This is a season where we talk about gratitude a lot, right? But I feel like that's easy to do, a little bit harder to do more than talk about it. So I'm going to go to the astrology while you all think about that. And who have I got on tonight? Let me see who's in the soul space with me. Go into my comments. I don't see anyone on yet. Where are all my people? We might be having Facebook issues, so might have to go onto YouTube and watch us or on strongisland.com. I think we are, Bob, because I'm on live and it has a picture of Teresa. Uh-oh. That was Teresa's promo for tea time. So, you know, Facebook is a little bit unreliable. Oops, did I say that? Yeah, I did. So I'm actually going to put on my page to tell everybody to go over to strongisland.com, right?
I'm going to post the YouTube link on your page and all the other pages.
Okay, cool. In the meantime, I'll just keep talking because I'm really good at that. So I want to go in. It's going to be very lonely without comments tonight if we don't get our Facebook feed back up, but that's okay. I can handle it. So I want to talk about the astrology right now, and the show must go on, everybody. So, and of course, for those of you watching on strongisland.com, you see me anyway, so that's a good thing. So, astrology. We have another rough week. I hate to use the word rough, but when I use the word rough, I kind of like to think about, you know, if you're a surfer or a skier and you hit those waves or you hit the moguls, right? So that's kind of like what this week's going to be like. It's going to be up and down, a lot of roller coaster, a lot of emotional energy. We have a grand water trine right stinking in the middle of the zodiac, which means a lot of emotion, watery, you know, we're drowning in emotion and things. But we have 4 planets that are out of bounds, which including Mars, which means that sometimes things will feel like they're going backwards in our life, or maybe we keep repeating things, or we can't seem to get out of our own way. It's almost like we're treading water, right? Uranus and the moon are conjunct this week, and that's usually something to do with the mother and separation of the mother. So that may also be why we had abortion issues and abortion rights that were so prominent in the recent election, because some of the transits that we're having are really about feminine energy and children. We also have right now not only a grand trine in water, but I think we have 7 planets in water right now. So when we look at astrology, water is usually our emotions. It's usually things that are overwhelming for us. You know, think about the quality of water. It's hard to harness, right? It can be very powerful, but it can also be, you know, it's liquid. It's something that you can't, it's not tangible. You can't hold it in your hand for very long, right? You can't grab it. So those are the kind of energies that we're going to feel this week. So especially with Neptune and Pisces, we're going to really have a hard time grasping at things that are solid. Yet there is also a lot of fixed energy and fixed water. So this can be almost people that are set in their ways, really coming forward, or it can be that as much as we want things to change, and maybe, the expression move the tide forward or the tides are changing, it's almost like there's no tide, like we're just frozen. The water is so overwhelming that we have a lot of emotion, but we're having a hard time moving them through our bodies and through our minds and soul space. So when that happens, what you need to do is look at where your moon is in your chart. Whether your moon is in a water sign, an air sign, or an earth sign, or a fire sign. And the way to handle this energy has a lot to do with that. So, for instance, think about the element that's involved. If you have a moon that's in a I'm so sorry. Boy, this is such a glitchy show tonight. I can't believe it. If you have a moon that's in a water sign, you're going to want to do things that nurture yourself. Maybe go into water, take a warm bath or a hot shower, walk by the water, walk by the lake, maybe put a water feature in your house or something. Go by where there's running water, because you're going to need to move the water and the element of water around you to get your emotions moving. If you're an earth sign, you're going to want to move something physical. Maybe you're going to clean the house, or you're going to move something or reorganize things so that they are moved in a better way. They feel better. The energy is a little bit more sequential or makes sense, more logic. So if you're an earth sign, you want to physically get into somewhere. Maybe that includes working out or moving the physical body in order to process this kind of energy. If you're a fire sign, you're going to want to do something. This is fire signs. You've got to have an accomplishment, even if that's a small thing. Clean out a closet, finish a project, write something that's due for school or work, or something that you've been putting off. Fire signs, get it done, because now is the time when that will help you move through this type of emotion. We're feeling stuck. We're feeling overwhelmed by things around us, and if we can somehow move that energy, depending on what element your moon sign is in, it'll work really well for you. If you're an air sign, do a puzzle, solve a mystery, read a book, do something mental, something in the mental capacity that'll move the energy that way. Think about problem solving in some way. What would my life be like if I didn't have this problem to work out? Or what would my life be like if I worked this problem out in a different way? So each element to wherever your moon sign really has a way that you're going to work through this energy, because we're so heavy in the feminine and the moon is so prominent this week in its transits. This is also an energy of deep, deep releasing. So we want to make sure that we're doing something, because the moon is our emotion, the moon is our soul space. And so when we have a grand water trine, which is very emotional and very soulful, it's wet, it's watery. When we have that kind of energy, the only way to move through it is to nurture our moon signs. So those are the suggestions I make: fire, water, air, or earth, whatever you are as far as your moon sign goes. That's the way that you kind of want to handle this energy of the grand trine, the grand water trine that we have. It has to be a way that feels right for you, that moves the energy forward in a nurturing way. And for whatever element your moon is in, that's going to be different for everybody. So I don't think Facebook is working. I think it's still kind of glitchy. I don't know. I'll try to refresh, but I don't think it's working. No, it's not working. So I do have a couple of people who are on, though. So yeah, it's not taking comments, so we'll share the YouTube. So all the more reason why we have to do YouTube Live. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. So another thing that happens this week, I'll go through the transits day by day. So another thing that happens this week, because I'm not going to be able to do readings if I don't have people on, unless somebody wants to. If you're listening, you have to call into the show. We'll put the number up on the screen. So we have that 7 planets in water signs, and that also asks the emotional week that this is going to be. This is going to be a week where You are going to definitely want to have an emotional release of some kind, and this will be with us all week. These are big releases. It's not like, the 2-second temper tantrum and then you're fine. This is big releases. This is things that have been a long time coming in our life that finally get released, and we're emotional about them. But they're also things that we know have to happen. This isn't like, it could be a sudden shocking release, but it's more a release you've been expecting all along and now finally comes in. And it doesn't have to be something very, it could be something big but subtle. It doesn't have to be big and grand. It could just be something that's big to you but subtle. We've got the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, and the planet Eris in a transit where it's going to cause a lot of tension. And this is really an element of reversals. It's going to be things that you thought were going to happen are not going to happen. This is a culmination of the energy that I talked about last week on the broadcast. You can always go back and watch, where it will be an energy of something that you pretty much are dependent on happening. You've got your heart set on it. It's not going to go that way. Something unexpected is going to happen. That doesn't necessarily mean it's something bad. That just means that you have to readjust and make sure that you are ready when things settle down and you have to actually deal with the situation. But whatever you think is going to happen doesn't. And I keep going back to the elections with this energy because I think that a lot of people are counting chickens before they hatch. And I think that there's a lot of things that are going to happen that you don't expect to happen. Like, I know everyone really thinks tomorrow that Donald Trump is going to announce that he's running. I don't know. There's something with that. Either he doesn't announce, or he announces he's not running, or we think he's going to announce that he doesn't. It can go either way. It's so hard to predict. But at the same time, something's going to happen around that energy, also around the Biden energy, and also around King Charles, that in England, that I really feel is very unexpected type of energy. But what I want to say for you all that have something happen in the next several weeks, leading up until around January into March, if you've had something in your life that's been a loss, a breakup, a disappointment, it could even be you've put out, like I know we have a viewer who put out a lot of job interviews and they didn't really hear anything back. Anything like that, don't be overly concerned. Don't overthink it, because Mars is retrograde and out of bounds right now. And Mars is the planet that makes things happen. So while it's there, nothing's going to happen in a lot of these areas. Or if something happens where you've broken up something, or you keep trying to get something accomplished and it won't happen, it will change around January. It will change, Mars is in Gemini until March. But around January, when it starts to move forward, these energies will change. If you've had a breakup, it may recycle. It may go back. Not necessarily to reconcile, but for you to have a different perception and you to get a second chance to look at it and maybe decide you don't really want it. But things will recycle in some way. So if there is an occurrence that happened during this Mars in Gemini retrograde and you have, really heartbreak about it, or you are concerned, or it really wasn't the way you thought it would go, it may cycle back for a second go at it. But like I say, a lot of times when those things happen and you've got that retrograde energy and it comes back again and you get the do-over, many times it's not the do-over you expect. You get the do-over and then you realize you didn't want it anyway. So, or maybe you're going to buy a house or a car or a big item and you don't get it. You get outbid or something happens and it doesn't follow through. It's going to cycle back and you're going to have an opportunity to have that object, but then you realize you really don't want it. So that's the kind of energy that we're going to be in with Mars retrograde until, and Mars in Gemini until March. So it's like a backwards energy. What I want to say in this energy, and I learned this lesson in the last couple of days, and it really came in, and the universe in many ways really took care of me. I had some things happen that were just really awesome and made me feel like I'm so aligned. And if we have time towards the end of the show, I'll tell you what they are. But this energy is very backwards, and it feels very backwards. Like, gee, why did that happen? That's so strange, and you can't really figure it out. But what I want to tell you is, if those things happen, and they happen in such a way that you need to make a decision, realize, very important in this energy, for you to realize that you don't have to make any decision right now. You don't have to do or say anything immediately. Just waiting and pausing in this energy will absolutely bring the universe onto your side and in support of you. I would wait till Mars goes direct for anything really big in your life. And that's around January. I think the exact date, I'll pull it up. It might be January 12th or so. But that's when you really don't want to make too huge a decisions, unless you have to. You know, if you have a time constraint, you have to decide something, by all means do it. Think very carefully. But I'm just saying that if there's something you can put off, you may want to. Because a lot of times when we make a very big decision in a Mars retrograde, especially like this, where it's retrograde and a sign for so much longer than it normally is, many times when we make those decisions and we finally take a path, it comes back and recycles and reverses. And that's also the backwards energy. It's reversals, it's losses, it's do-overs. It's like a circle. So be prepared for that. And do your moon. Like I said, in this energy, you want to do your moon wherever your moon sign is. Like I'm a Scorpio moon, that's a water sign. So I know it's very important to nurture myself and do things in water now, whether that's, sometimes just, my mom always used to say when we were kids, she used to get us to do the dishes, but she'd always say, putting your hands in hot soapy water is really good for the soul. And it kind of is, put on some music and wash the dishes. Don't use the dishwasher. Do a ritual. Take a bath, light some candles, take that extra time in the shower that you never take if you're a water moon. And like I said, fire, you're going to want to do something, complete a task. If you've got a bunch of shoes hanging out in your hallway, your front entryway, put them all away. It's just going to make you feel accomplished. That's what a fire sign needs to feel if you're a fire moon. If you're an earth moon, you need to ground. You need to go out in the earth. You need to do something tangible. And if you're an air, you need to do something with your mind, a puzzle, figure something out, something that's been sitting on your desk for weeks and you just don't even want to look at, pick it up, complete it. So that is my energy. Venus enters Sagittarius on the 16th. Yay! And that will be in that energy until December 6th when it goes to Capricorn. Venus in Sag is a good thing because Venus in Scorpio has been a little intense for everybody. Yes, yes, yes. It makes us possessive and jealous and frenzied. Venus in Sagittarius is having a party. Venus in Sagittarius wants to go Christmas shopping. Venus in Sagittarius is also about, we're going to feel so much perkier. It's also about, could be money. It moves ahead with things that we feel good with. It's a very helpful energy that starts on Wednesday. You're going to feel a really big energy shift. You're going to wake up Wednesday morning and you're going to feel like, wow, I feel a lot better than I did for a while. Yeah, because Venus is all about our values. It's the things we love. It's how we obtain the things we love. So when we wake up Wednesday morning and it changes sign into Sagittarius, it's a much more light, fun energy. Saggies are life of the party. They love a party. This is Saggy season. As soon as we start hitting Thursday, Thanksgiving, that's the first Thursday in Sag season. And it's a Saturnian holiday. That's why it's Sagittarius. And I will tell you, as soon as Venus hits Sag, you're going to feel a difference. You're going to wake up Wednesday morning and you're going to be like, oh, Georgia Rose told me about this. Friday, the sun finishes its transits to Pluto, which has been very intense. And that also, gives us a little bit more reprieve from the intensity of the Plutonian things crumbling, things wanting to be structures falling, things that we depend on. And Pluto wants to trash everything in order for us to build it better. That energy is going to lighten up a little bit. But when the sun moves, it also touches that water trine. So it's going to heighten and lighten that water trine. So, make sure that you are really nurturing yourself and doing your moon. All right. Also, later in the week, around Friday, we have something in the chart, which I won't go into the explanation. You can look it up if you want. It's called a mystic rectangle. And a mystic rectangle doesn't happen that frequently, but when it does, what it represents is a calling from the soul. So when we have a mystic rectangle in the chart like we do on Friday, you want to listen because your soul is telling you what it wants to do. Your soul is trying to tell you where it wants to go, what it wants to do, and what the vision is for your life. So Friday is a really good day to meditate and listen to what your soul wants. If you're like me, I always feel the energy a couple of days before and a couple of days after. So I'm already getting some messages from my soul on what I want to do, and it's what I'm doing right now. So I'm right on path there. Mercury goes into Sagittarius on the 17th. That's Thursday. And that's just a lot of information. Mercury, don't forget, is our minds. We've already got Venus there the day before. So when Mercury goes into Sag, it's a lot of stuff. It's people want to talk about their stuff. They want to have a conversation with you. You can't get off the phone. Mercury in Sagittarius, where it'll be for a while, is really about communication and just the way we communicate, telling about our stuff, telling about everything we feel, what we want to do. It's like the party energy, blah, 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 blah. I have a sign on my desk in my office that says, what does it say? It says more doing and less blah, blah, So that's kind of that Sag energy that's going to be in there for until the 9th of December from November 17th. So remember, parties are going to be talky. People are going to be talky. It's going to be blah, 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 blah. But when Mercury and Venus, who's already in Sagittarius, when they both go into Sagittarius, they also set off some power struggles. So until the end of the month, we're going to be looking at those power triggers, but in a different way from the way they've been these last few weeks, where it's just been like a powder keg. Now those power triggers, we actually start to see what's happening and why. So some of the answers to our questions will happen, I think, on the 19th, which I believe is Saturday. I think the 19th is, if I'm not mistaken. Today's the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. Yeah. So we're going to know a little bit more about the election outcomes. That's more stable. We're going to know a little bit more about some announcements that are stable. We're going to know a little bit more about the financial markets. Something's going to come to light that makes us feel like, oh, we understand now. And when I say stable, I don't mean that the situation is stable or makes sense to us as far as it being what we thought was going to happen. These could be very sudden and shocking things that are revealed, but it's going to help us stable understanding why it happened. So it stables our clarity a little bit, but that doesn't mean we can predict it or that we're going to know what's going on. It means that we don't know what's going to happen, but once it does and it surprises us, we're going to be like, oh, now I get it. I was looking over here, but that was happening there. Oh, that makes sense now, right? So that's kind of how the energy plays out this week and ends this week. On Saturday, Mars makes some movements, which it starts to go towards away from those oppositions with all the planets that we had, and that it was trining and sextiling and all these transits that we've been having with this Mars and Gemini, which has really been sparking so much in our lives. It starts to move away from that a little bit. I know I'm being a little vague. I don't want to go into too much of the astrology detail because it'll be a rabbit hole and you guys probably won't understand it anyway. But it starts to move away from some of the more sensitive areas in the chart. And part 2 of what's happening gets to be seen now. Part 1 was all the crazy, all the, well, what should I believe? I don't know about that. That doesn't make sense. I don't know what this is. Now, towards the end of this week and into next, now we're going to start the redos. Now that Mars retrograde energy really kicks in and we start to go back, and it's more or less like, oh, that's what that was all about. Okay. And we can start to see part 2 of the changes. Sunday, we finish out the week with the sun really moving away from that grand water trine, and we start to feel better. We're not so emotional. We're not so touchy-feely, triggery. The sad song comes on in the car, and the tears start running down our little cheeks. We'll get away from that a little bit. So that's about it as far as the astrology for the week goes. The only other thing that I will say is that there are some health nodes in play this week. So if you have any kind of ailment that comes in or anything that you feel, even a sniffly nose or a little bit of a scratchy throat, go to the doctor right away, because in this energy, Venus in Scorpio and other planets, the sun is trining Jupiter. It wants to, kind of destroy things. It's a little bit of an energy. I hate to say that, but it can be an energy of, making things flare up a little bit, especially sickness. If anyone has been really sick for a long time or in hospice for a long time, eclipse energy is the energy that takes them out. Eclipse energy is endings. Eclipse energy is an energy of, really a lot of endings, a lot of pets leaving, a lot of people leaving the earth, until we get to the new moon, which is November 22nd. Then the new comes, because eclipses are beginnings and endings. But first, when we're in eclipse season, like we just had that huge eclipse, right, in Scorpio and then Taurus, those 2 huge eclipses, now it becomes, we're in that eclipse energy very heavily. And eclipses like to end things, right? Like and dark, they pass by each other. So we'll be in those endings until about the 22nd of November. So don't be surprised if you've had a very sick parent or you've had a very sick person in your life. This may be the time when they are finally out of their pain and they will transition over. It's just the way eclipses go. So if you have any health nodes or anything that come up, don't fool around with it. You want to get checked out. I have some doctor appointments this week, actually. Hopefully nothing is awry. So just want to see if we can get anything here. We still down on Facebook, Bob?
Yeah, we're everywhere but Facebook. We're going to re-air this at 9 p.m. on Facebook.
Okay, so we're going to re-air this show 9 p.m. on Facebook, and we are everywhere right now except on Facebook. Something happened with the feed. So Bobby is such a great producer that he has us everywhere anyway. And somebody's calling the show. Hi, you're in the Soul Space with Georgia Rose.
Hi, Georgia. How are you tonight?
I'm good. And who am I talking to?
My name is Barb Danella.
Hi, Barb. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. A friend of mine introduced me to your show last week.
Oh, how
and,
nice.
So this is my first time tuning in.
Well, I have to thank her for that. I'm sorry we're having technical difficulties tonight. We're everywhere but Facebook, so I don't have my comments. And usually I pull cards for my commenters, so I'm a little behind.
Gotcha. No, I did a comment on YouTube, but I'm not sure if you were seeing the comments on there.
Oh, okay. I have to look over there. Yes. So, do you have a question, or how can I help you tonight?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you can give me any info on my son's health and possibly anything from my brother and my mother-in-law. They both passed last year.
Okay.
And the energy I feel around my home is off the charts.
Wow. Okay.
And I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I need to hear something.
Oh, I see your comment now. Okay. So I have to ask you, when your mother-in-law and you said brother?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When they
Yes.
passed, was that close together?
Yes.
Okay.
My mother-in-law passed in January last year, and my brother passed in March right after that.
Okay, that's why I asked, because I was being told they passed 3 months apart. So that's why I asked that question, because that confirms for me that they are coming in, which is great.
Yeah.
So brother's name, Barbara?
Frank?
Frank. Okay. So, okay. So I see that they passed close together, and I feel like brother's passing was a little bit shocking for you.
Yeah. I still have a hard time with it.
Yeah. I do want to I feel the energy of guilt around you somehow. And I have to get in a little deeper to find the circumstances, but I do feel the energy of guilt. And I want to say that the guilt is misplaced, because there's nothing for you to be guilty about. There's nothing you did or didn't do that contributed to this in any way. This was definitely destined to happen, and there is nothing that you could have done differently that would have prolonged it, stopped it, or changed it.
I know, and I know that, and I believe that everything is predestined or death. But yeah, I do blame myself, because he was back in New York, and he's just been a lost soul for many years. A lot of personal issues for him.
Right.
And
I'm getting
I was
that
trying
energy.
to get him back out here.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting that energy, and that's why the
um,
first energy that came in for you was that you feel like a regret and a guilt. And I think that sometimes when we have those feelings and a loved one has passed, many times we'll feel their energy so strong around us because we have uncompleted business. It's like we're not letting them go. We're holding them in our thoughts because of what we're going through in relation to their death. And I want you to know that I feel like your brother is very much at peace. I'm just going to tell you what I'm seeing in my mind's eye and what he's showing me. I'm seeing almost like, I almost want to say like a baseball field, but it's like a green meadow. It's like a beautiful place, like very serene and peaceful. I feel very much like it's almost like a ballpark or a ball field, but no one's there, just him. And for some reason, I'm seeing baseball around him a lot. I don't know if that's just symbolic or if there was something in his life that was important to him about that. But I'm seeing him like in this
Yeah, when he
field.
was a kid, when he was a kid, he loved baseball. He played baseball. He collected the cards. He loved going to the games, and him and my grandfather were big
Okay.
baseball fans.
So that makes sense to me because grandfather probably helped him pass over. And what I'm feeling is that he's gone back to the place that was peaceful for him. And he's showing me that that's
Yeah.
at peace. And it's almost like he's in this stadium. I don't know what else to call it. It's like a ballpark, a ball field. But it's at the same time as I'm seeing it and I can see the stands are all empty and he's there all by himself. At the same time, it kind of morphs into this beautiful meadow that has no public area or stands or spectators. It's just this like unlimited ball field. I don't know how else to describe it. And it's almost like to him, that's a peaceful, safe, secure, nurturing place. And that's almost like when he transitioned, like he walked onto this ball field. That's the feeling I'm getting. I feel like his passing over was very, very quick and instantaneous once he passed over. Like he didn't suffer in final minutes. Sometimes I can feel that when that happens, but I don't feel like he suffered in final minutes. I feel like when death was imminent, it was very quick for him and he passed over and had a very peaceful time of that transition passing over. He was ready to go. He wasn't fearful and he wanted that. He really almost wanted that. So,
And he did. He struggled with that a long time. He would never hurt himself. It wasn't like that, but
right. But he was done with this world.
yeah,
He
he
wa-
was
he was
very,
done here.
very much done. And
And that's why
I'm
I'm going to pull some cards for you in a minute, but to unpack this, what he's telling me is that he wants you to feel that peace that he has now. He so wants you to feel that peace. That is the most important thing to him, that you feel that love surrounding you in that love and that peace that he now has. Because he's almost showing me that as tortured as he was in life, you are torturing yourself with these thoughts of regret, of guilt, of you could have done something more, it's your fault, I blame myself. That's all bringing you into a place that is not peaceful. And he is in a beautiful, peaceful place now. He's thanking me for delivering
I
this
will
message.
do my best. Huh?
He's thanking me for delivering this message.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm going to pull
I
a
just
couple.
miss him.
I know you
miss him a
do.
lot.
I know you do. And I know you miss the brother that you know he could have been for you and sometimes was not because he was in such struggle. And what I'm going to
Yeah.
say is that his struggle is over. So learn from that and don't put yourself in a struggle. That's the last thing he would want for you. This is such a warm soul, someone who is gentle and just wants everyone to feel the peace that he feels now.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's him.
So
He's such a
don't
good
torture
man. He's a good
yourself.
man.
That is not what he wants. And also I feel like he's showing me there's someone else in the family that has some of his traits and some of his proclivities. And so he's showing me that he's around that person, strengthening them.
Good.
So if there's and I
Good.
feel like this person is younger than he. So if there's someone in the family that you're worried about with anything that's, a health issue or addiction or mental health struggle or anything like that energy, because it all is the same for me, know that he's there supporting that person from the other side.
Probably my son. He's my son's godfather.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he's showing me that this person is very much like he was at that age.
Hmm.
So, know that he's got a divine guidance coming in there. I'm going to pull a couple of cards for you, but the message is coming in very loud and clear that he really, really wants you in a place of peace. He said if you, he's saying to me that if you struggle and you make yourself unsettled, then my death has no meaning, because the meaning of his death was to give him peace.
Okay.
I see your heartbreak. The heartbreak card came up, the Three of Swords. You can see this on camera. I don't know if Bobby can put a camera on the table. This is the card of heartbreak. So I'm seeing you're in heartbreak. And one of the things that I want to say to you, and tonight's show is about gratitude, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. The best antidote, there's that heartbreak card. I'll put it towards you so you can see. The best antidote for grief, and I've had tremendous grief in my life as well, so I'm speaking from experience, not from some lofty place of some, guru that doesn't know what they're talking about. The best antidote for grief is gratitude. And gratitude has the ability to change all of our emotions. And when someone passes, the reason why the universe has such transitions and people that transition to another place and we have that loss is to show us a way to honor them. And so many times when someone dies tragically or unexpectedly or in a painful way, we focus on those moments and that death. That is not the correct way. We need to focus on the life. So find something within the life of Frank that is a gratitude for you and that you are grateful for. Maybe it was his kind nature, his sensitive nature. Maybe you learned lessons from all of the experiences you had with him, including the passing. But if you can put yourself into that gratitude for the connection that you had of his life to yours, for however brief or long it was, it will help the grief, because gratitude is the antidote for grief. And I'm also getting a card of the Hermit. I feel like maybe this is also symbolic of him, that at times he really kind of wet in the shell and didn't always ask for things when he needed to. So don't be like that. When you need someone and you need to speak and talk and connect, don't go into your shell. Really allow others to help you through your grief, and talk about your brother in the kindest ways and not on his shortcomings and in the struggles he had, but talk about the really great things about him. And that's going to get you through that grief. You've got to move away from that energy of feeling like anything's your fault and blame and grief like the guilt. And then the third card I'm going to pick for the confirmation is hard work pays off. So it's hard work to come out of grief. It's a struggle. We all have struggled with it at one time or another in our lifetime. And the way we do that is to find the gratitude, is to find, I lost my mom and dad 6 months apart several years ago, and it was tremendous grief. And I just was so grateful I had them in my life. And I kept focusing on that part. And so focus on all of the lessons. I know you're still learning from Frank and from the things that he's done. Mom-in-law energy is not coming through as strong. The one energy I am getting from mom-in-law is I feel an apologetic energy. Don't know exactly what that's about. You will, I guess. But I also feel like it's very important to her to carry on traditions, especially where her son is concerned. She doesn't want family traditions to be diluted or lost.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a family matriarch in lieu of her, or if you're that person. But if there's any kind of conflict or unsettled energy in siblings around her son, I feel like she wants someone who's a very strong woman in the family to kind of be the reconciler.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. So, and it doesn't have to be you, but she's showing me you play a part in it. So there's kind energy there. I'm almost getting the feeling of like, you know how like if you lose something in the bed and you got to keep pulling all the blankets off to find it? I don't know why they just showed me that, but they just showed me that. And I think it's symbolic. For instance, like the solutions to some of these family situations are there. You just have to look a little harder and toss the covers back.
Okay.
So I hope that makes sense to you. Also, she is showing me possessions, that there's some conflict about the way things should be handled or given to people or something. Is that going on?
No.
Like more than one person
No.
wants? Okay. Because she's showing me that she... Go ahead.
We have most of her stuff. My daughter got a lot of her stuff. She was very close with her grandma. She's my stepdaughter.
Okay.
But there hasn't been conflict that I know of, unless my husband didn't tell me something.
Okay. What she's showing me is like, it's almost like she had a very set way that she would want things to be given out. And she's showing me that you did a good job. She feels that you honored wishes, but I feel like there might be something coming up where someone's just like, oh, I really wanted that or something. So be on the lookout for that. But it's nothing major.
Okay.
She's just showing me. She really admires you. She has a lot of it's funny because I'm looking for the right word to describe it because she loves you, but it's not like this warm, like mom, like, oh, she's my daughter, like mushy thing. It's like she's very proud of you and respects you and like admires the way you are, if that makes sense.
That means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was very important that I found the right words to say that because it wasn't like she's not coming in and hugging you and saying, "Oh, my darling." She's coming in and saying, "You are a strong woman and I get it now." And no, I get it now. You're right. You're doing it right. And having respect for that.
I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
It's been rough, but we had some rough patches, but in the end,
Yeah, I can feel that.
I feel like she was taken too soon.
Yeah, I think had she been here a little bit longer, which I believe, like you, death happens when it happens. But had she been here a little bit longer, I think that you and her would have been like the Mutual Respect Society. Like,
Yes.
I feel like you were both together. Your relationship was not a lot of words, but you understood each other.
No.
You had an understanding.
Yeah. We were getting to a great point, and then she passed, and I was very angry about that.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. You're at a great point now, and it's what you choose. You have choices. I have the best relationship with my father, and he's dead, and I talk to him every day, and we have such a great relationship, better than I ever had when he was alive. And it sounds funny, but that's the way it is, So it's like you can still do that and talk to her, and you're going to feel that presence, and you're going to feel that support. And what I will tell you, and I say this on the show all the time, if you have someone in your life that cares for you, loves you, respects you, admires you, supports you, and they pass over to the other side, the energy on the other side, in the other dimension, in other realms, is so much higher consciousness, higher soul than we have here. So if they're still feeling those emotions for you from the other side, they're 100 times stronger than they were when they were physically present on this earth. And we can tap into that anytime we want.
I'm definitely going to try to do that.
Yeah, so don't...
I feel like I get signs.
I was just going to say, and don't put yourself in that vortex, that downward spiral. I feel like you do that, Bernadette. Really go into gratitude and make sure that you are bringing things into your life that make you grateful for the experiences you had with these people. What would your life be like if you never had a brother? What would your life be like if you never had this lady who was your mother-in-law, who I believe taught you some things along the way? You might not have always liked the lesson, but you learned, and vice versa with her. So I think, go into that gratitude of, thank you, God, that you gave me this connection in this lifetime of mine,
Yeah, I told her, I thanked her. I said her son is the best present I could ever have in the world.
Yeah, she raised a good husband, right?
Yes, she did. She did a great job.
So do you have any other question for me?
No, that was it. I really appreciate your taking the time for me. And
Yes,
I'm definitely going to let some other people know about you and get you some more viewers.
That means a lot to me. Thank you so much for supporting my work. And what I'm going to say is I'm sending you so much love. And if everyone is, I know, there's not a lot of people watching live right now because we lost our feed. But if anybody can, just put in a little comment, send in love to Bernadette. And I truly believe that everything that is happening to you going forward is going to be really great energy. So don't get too much in the negative because the universe wants to give you so many positive things, Bernadette.
Thank you. Oh, it's Barbara.
Oh, Barbara, I'm sorry. Is there a Bernadette in your family?
Okay. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. That name's coming in for me for some reason. I always say there's no coincidences. But Barbara, take that with you. And thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Thank you. You have a wonderful evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So before we close the show tonight, we have a few minutes left. We have some time left. I wanted to just talk a little bit about gratitude because we were supposed to do the show about that. We got a little sidetracked with some things. But gratitude is the antidote for every negative emotion there is. And there's 3 types of gratitude. And I talked about this on my class that I did for my Earthbound life today. The first type of gratitude is pretty easy. We all are grateful for something. You can be grateful for the green light instead of the red one. I always tell this story. I'm grateful for my blueberries and my cereal every morning. What would my life be like without blueberries? My cereal would be so utterly boring. So every day I wake up and I'm just really grateful for these beautiful blueberries. And if I had lived in a different time, I probably wouldn't get blueberries because they're probably flown in from some exotic place, or grown in a greenhouse or something. But anyway, so the first step to gratitude is being grateful for simple things. Just, we all say grace at Thanksgiving, right? Well, you want to bring that into everything that you do in your life. The second part of gratitude is a little bit harder. That's being grateful for the challenges in our life, the things that are kind of sucky that happen to us. If we can just kind of take a pause and think about what they come in to teach us and be grateful for the experience, because it gives us an opportunity to really see what we're made of and what we can do and find our own natural resources from within and strengthen us. That's the second layer of gratitude, is being grateful for the not so beautiful things, being grateful for the crappy things, and the ability they have to really bring up a person that's better than the person we were before the crappy thing happened, right? And then there's the third part of gratitude, and this is a little bit harder than the first two. The third part of gratitude is just being grateful for everything anyway, all the time, just because. And you opened your eyes in the morning and you just feel grateful. And that third layer is what happens when we master layer 1 and 2. If we can be in gratitude for the little things and the blueberries in my cereal, and then when something really sucky happens, I lose a deal at work or the Facebook glitz on the show today, right? Well, hey, maybe it was a good thing because I've been wanting more people to watch us on YouTube, and now everyone had to go there. So I'm actually really kind of thinking maybe it happened for that reason, Find your silver linings. They're always there, and that brings you and puts you in a place of gratitude. And then pretty soon that's your habit, is to always find the silver lining. And then the third one, which is the hardest one, of just being in gratitude, it happens. Now, why is this so important? Because when we live a life in gratitude, we subconsciously visualize all good things happening. It puts us in a good mood. It raises our vibration. That goes out to the world like pixie dust. And now the world's vibration gets heightened. But it also brings more of that to us. It's like every time we're grateful for something, we're telling God, Buddha, Kuan Yin, whoever you believe in, the aliens, whoever your source is, when you are grateful and you say thank you, you're actually saying, more, please. I'd like some more. Give me more of that really great stuff, right? So that's what you want to do, is you want to be grateful so that you get more to be grateful for. Thank you so much. I love each and every one of you. I'll be back next Monday at 7 o'clock right here in the Soul Space. Our community is really growing, and I thank you all. If you want to share the show or watch it back, you can find us on Strong Island Television on YouTube, Zenkuda on YouTube, which I hope you subscribe, Facebook, and you can also find me on Instagram at Zenkuda Official. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great soul space all week long. And remember, nurture yourself and do your moon signs. Bye-bye, everybody.